Hey guys, it's the Infamous here. Before we jump into tonight's episode, I gotta tell you about our sponsor, Audible. Audible gives you access to hundreds of thousands of audiobooks that you can listen to wherever it's convenient for you. Use our link, audibletrial.com/infamous, and not only do you get a free 30-day trial of the service, but you also get a free audiobook compliments of the show. So head to audibletrial.com/infamous, get yourself a book, and get some money back into the show. Enjoy tonight's episode.
Okay, hi. You're listening to Infamous Chronicles. Yeah. Love you, Dad.
All right, welcome to episode 97 of the Infamous Chronicles. Tonight we have a special treat. It's a guest that has been in the studio for a recording before, but he hasn't actually been on air. It's a friend of mine from a couple of years now. We're really excited to have him. Your roster tonight is going to be myself, the Infamous, Mr. Jester, and Gino. We're going to be discussing creativity, publishing, and a really special book with the author. This is the Infamous Chronicles. Here we go.
Turn down for what?
Do you even know what's going on?
This is the Infamous Chronicles.
The Infamous Chronicles.
Featuring the infamous
Aggie Rocks,
Casey Moran,
Firefox,
P-Sack,
The Jester,
Scotty G,
and Gino.
Wait, what are we doing?
Pardon my French, but you're an asshole.
The Infamous Chronicles starts right now.
All right, welcome to tonight's episode. So, Jester, how you doing tonight?
I'm not doing that well.
I
saw. Yeah, I know you can sense it in me a little bit. Just to be honest, last night I took a boner pill, and I was fucking the Filipina. The type of boner pill you take, you really want to bury one, and it's just been affecting me the day after.
I can't say I've taken one.
I've had a massive headache since I've woken up. Advil does not help. Thank you for the Excedrin pills.
You're welcome.
They have not kicked in yet.
Okay.
I've had an on and off hard on all day at work. I've
Not
had to
consistent though?
No, just kind of on and off. It just randomly pops up, and I can't get up out of my desk if I got to go do something. I don't wait for.
That's like high school stuff.
It is. Like, don't wear sweatpants,
yeah,
right?
You gotta tuck it under the belt. I know the tricks.
It's sort of gone away since like 3 p.m. today, so I'm a little bit, better than I was.
Thankfully, because it's a house full of dudes right now.
Right. But that was my whole thing.
Okay. Yeah. I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you.
So I sympathize with your erection.
Right.
Gino, how are you doing tonight?
A lot better than that. But I'm doing good.
Yeah, that sounds like we don't really have any story to top
You can't follow that. That's real talk right
Yeah, no.
That sucks.
Yeah.
And our special guest tonight is... So there is a book that we've been talking about for a little while, and if you follow us, we were promoting it prematurely, so we apologize. But the author of the ABC Balloon book, and it's really hard to explain on air, so it's going to be an interesting episode, but we encourage you to check. We're going to be posting visuals on all of our social media and our website, and then mentioning where to find it. But tonight we have the author of the ABC Balloon book, Stephen Mayhew.
Hello, everybody.
So finally, welcome to being on air.
I know, right? Yeah, last time I was over by the corner like a shunned child.
Yeah.
So now I actually can speak.
Yeah, and Stephen's been he's been a emotional support for the show for 4 years now.
Yeah.
And he created our original logo. So that all came from Stephen. So he's in the webbings of the show.
Yes. You guys are doing awesome work here. So I was invited on and I had to, oh my God, yes, of course. I have to be on.
Absolutely. So Stephen, let's try to explain this. It's bad radio to talk about visuals, but we'll try to walk through this. So there's a book that you worked on for 4 years.
Yep.
And it is called the ABC Balloon book. And what it is, well, why don't you explain it the best that you can to people that don't know anything about this?
I'll do my best. I'll do my best. Okay, so basically it's think of like your basic balloon dog and then multiply that by like 1,000. So what it is every page on the book, it's the alphabet, and each of the animals that are listed on the page, everything that you see in the book is all made out of balloons. And you go, okay, well, how intricate could that be? But actually you can get quite detailed and artistically pushed to challenges with creating intricate balloon designs. So I guarantee you've never seen anything like the art that I've created on here. Yeah,
no,
crazy, dude.
And it's funny because admittedly, before you came on as a guest, obviously I'm trying to explain this
to
a bunch of dudes that are not in this industry at all. And they're like, it's a what? He did what?
It's a children's book?
The second everyone opened it, they're all like, holy shit. Whoa. That's so cool. And you actually brought one of the models.
I did.
Here tonight.
Yep.
And we're going to make sure we take a selfie with it as a group.
Awesome,
so we'll post that up. So full disclosure, Steven and I work in the balloon industry. Mm-hmm. So I don't think I've ever said that on air.
What have you not done? God damn.
I know. I sell everything. That's just what I do.
All the way down to balloons.
Yeah. So I'm not going to say what I do, but I'm in this industry. Steven's in this industry on the art side of it. I'm in on the sales side of it. So what made you get into balloon art in the first place? And then what inspired, because there's some really bad balloon art out there. This is not bad balloon art. So what made you, how'd you go through the transition of getting to this, and why make an ABC balloon book that took you 4 years?
So basically, I work at the time when I started this book, which was now 5 years ago. I was a marketing director, and as much as there's not a lot of creativity when it comes to the marketing side. You're dealing with dollar signs and statistics and all that stuff. And I was like, I need a creative outlet. I need to do something. And so working with balloons for the past 15 years, from balloon twisting to running a balloon decorating company to being a teacher in the industry. I know balloons. So I was inspired by a greeting card one day when I was on my creative quest to find something to do in my spare time. And I thought, God, that'd be really cool if I was to make those out of balloons. And I thought, yeah, but what? And then what? How could I actually do something with this? Mm-hmm. And at that point, that's when everything just kind of started clicking. I was like, what if I was to make, if I made these owls out of balloons, and if I was to create like a parent and child for a bunch of different animals. But I'm like, well, what would that go into? What about if it was a book? And then, what if it was an ABC book? Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. Education. So I just kind of, it all happened within about 10 seconds of me just staring at this greeting card. But, and so I thought, this would be really cool. And so at that point I decided I'm going to make a test animal, which happened to turn out to be the frog in this.
So that was the first one?
That was the first one.
Jeez.
That was halfway through the book.
Like later on.
No, he was the first one. Wow. And so I created it, showed it to a friend of mine who's an elementary school teacher, and she was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing! So tell me more about this." And I said, "Do you think there's a market for this?" And she said, "Absolutely." And I thought, that's it, I'm sold. And 4 years later, I finally finished the damn thing. But it was a crazy process.
The elephant.
Yep.
Are those 2 condoms for the tusks?
I know that you need one right now, especially for the intro.
Obviously, his dick on the brain.
Exactly. I'm like, I got a couple balloons here that you could try to squeeze into.
Can you do this with condoms, or it's just balloons?
I would say maybe the elephant's tusks could look a little like condoms. They weren't. There's no condoms in this.
Okay, just check.
Unfortunately, hidden, just like Where's Waldo, hidden in every picture.
There's one condom.
No.
But you know what's funny about, though, that you asked that, Jester, is that in our industry, most of the companies that we work with that purchase products from one of the two of us, almost all of them also, not domestically, internationally, also sell condoms, dildos, because it's all rubber and latex.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you mentioned that, because they do crisscross quite often. Mm-hmm. So there's 26 animals in this book.
Yep.
And each one is a different letter of the alphabet. Most of them are independent. Some of them have babies and family members in them. But when you're looking at it, how long just roughly did each individual animal take you?
Each animal kind of varied. Like the monkey, for instance, he was actually the quickest one. He took a week to make, and because there was so much of it, I was able to create and take in one shot. But most of them took at least a month. The one that took the longest was the jellyfish, and that was because
which we're looking at right
now. We're looking at now. Funny enough. Because I had to redesign this thing 3 times, and the first one, it was just so big, and it looked like it was dead and on the beach, and I was like, okay, that's not going to work. And so I just kind of kept kept manipulating things, and then and coming up with structures to put things on. But yeah, that one took 3 months, but most of them took about a month. And if you add that all up, you go, how did that take 4 years?
Yeah.
But it's
editing, putting it together.
Exactly. And so the actual design of it, like making it, took about a month for each one. And then, there's sketching. I had to figure out how it was going to be set up and the layout of it. And then I had to research the animals and what were their landscapes. And
I think what gets lost on people too that are not in the balloon industry when they look at it is that like, so I opened up to a giraffe and everyone here can see it. And we're going to give you guys ways to see this yourselves. But when you're looking at the giraffe, there's a giraffe that takes up pretty much the 50% of the right side of the page. And you're looking at the rest of it is all landscape. And I think what gets lost on people is that all the landscape is also balloons.
That's right.
Come on.
Yeah, the leaves, the grass, the sky, the clouds, the mountain.
How is this grass a balloon?
So for instance, so they're looking at a like a green pasture is kind of what this looks like that the giraffe is standing in front of, and so this is a large marbleized balloon that I took a picture of and then laid in so that way, and then like zoomed in on it. So the balloon's really like this big.
Where does the color differentiate?
They actually make balloons like that.
I'm sorry. Yeah, they make marbleized balloons that kind of look like that, kind of like the turtle, for instance. They have these like marbleized balloons that you can really see within that. So I used the different types of balloons that were out there and just really try to get creative with them. Like for instance, the mountain in the background with the giraffe. That's paper that's been put inside of a balloon, and then I sucked the air out, and then that created that crinkly type feel and look to make it look like a mountain
and then
ridges.
Obviously, the most intricate one in here. So real quick before we move on. So when we're talking about landscaping, Jester. So when you look at this ladybug, this leaf right here that it's sitting on is a balloon that he actually painted that's got a wire frame on the inside of it.
Now I'm getting it.
Yeah, and like these water drops that you see on this leaf, and there's a ladybug picture. It's a ladybug on a leaf with water drops. Those are 3-foot balloons with water filled them, and he put them on the ground, took pictures of it.
So you're doing like Photoshop, Illustrator type stuff on here.
Basically, yeah. My goal was when I started this was I want to create as much as I can to take in one shot, but that's just unrealistic when it comes to balloons because they only make these things in so many different colors and sizes. And so, to create this effect where it looks like there's that, the dip of the dewdrop, I couldn't do that with a small 5-inch balloon.
Okay.
And so I had to kind of, at that point, I then had to bring in the Photoshop.
So with all the stuff that's on the market now, when they come out with a brand new balloon that you've never seen before, do you get aroused?
Slightly. No.
Just so you know, everything with Jester is sexual.
I see.
It is.
I'm sorry. Yeah. God, I should have brought those condoms.
That's
it would have been set.
Yeah.
I'm like... no. I mean,
or you should have brought the pills for everyone. So
I should have
be on the same page as you.
I looked over. I thought he was happy to see me. I didn't realize. I didn't realize that he was
50-50.
conditioned.
It's 50-50.
Hey there.
So let me ask you this. It's gonna be a bold question. I don't mean to be offensive, but
Go for it.
Let me put the cards on the table. When explaining to people that you professionally are a balloon artist or balloon illustrator, obviously it's probably not always met with much enthusiasm. How do you tackle that for anybody that's in a creative environment with something that people can't understand? Like, how did you overcome objection and ridicule to stay focused on your vision and deliver what you wanted?
You're saying specifically with the book?
Let's stick specifically to the book.
It came down to me having to show a picture to somebody. And so, because you go, I'm a balloon illustrator. And I had to come up with that because I was at a children's book convention and people were like, I'm an author, I'm an illustrator. And I was like, I got to stand out somehow. So I'm a balloon illustrator. And then, not balloons, like,
yeah.
Oh, okay. Like, that sounds cool. And so I'd say, I take great pride in it. I know what I can create. So I pull out a picture and I'd say, no, this is what I create. Like, this is my balloon illustrations. And they go, oh, wow. I've never seen anything like that before. I'm like, and you're never gonna. It's just me. No.
Nice.
But yeah, I just took pride in it. And I'm like, I knew I was doing a good job and I was getting great criticism feedback. One being from Mr. Infamous here. He was very, very hard on me. Cause I'd show you the pictures.
Yeah.
As we're going along, I'd be like, yeah. When I get a new one done, I'd be like, I wouldn't show you the process of it, but I'd show him the final one and he'd be like, it looks cool. I mean,
Jester's had the unfortunate circumstance of having to ask me for my opinion on his art as well. So he knows.
Bluntly honest.
I'm gonna assume you've done kids parties and stuff before.
I have. Yep.
Yeah. But he's that world. Far past that now.
Yeah, I don't do that any longer. But that's how I got into balloons to begin with. I was a children's entertainer, and I was the guy dressed as Spider-Man and Barney.
Yeah.
I was the 16-year-old Santa Claus because that looked really, great.
So, for people that don't understand the balloon industry, basically there are artists, balloon artists, and what they do is they get paid to really a couple different variations, but they will either decorate events mostly, or they'll create art. It's pretty much the two, or retail, but we're not really talking about that. So
yeah, there's like balloon decorators,
which is like weddings and parties like you were talking about. And then there's art, and nobody does anything like this, but there are people that competitively make sculptures, and it would blow your mind to know, like, we've been involved in sculptures that took up the entire center of a mall, all the way to the third floor. Mm-hmm. A big Jack and the Beanstalk thing. So it's this weird little niche community that exists of people. But for those artists, have you found that you get criticized because this isn't technically a sculpture, it's pieces of a sculpture, like Jester said, how you're photoshopping it together?
You know what? I'll be honest with you. At first, because of the constraints that I had with creating the designs themselves, I was really hard on myself, and I was like, oh my God, I really don't, I have to Photoshop this thing together, or I have to, digitally lay it out. Cause I also have a graphic design background. Mm-hmm. So, so I have that side of it as well. And I was really hard on myself. And then, when I finally released the book and I started to talk to the balloon community themselves, and they were asking questions, and I explained to them, I wasn't able to they only make balloons in certain colors and certain sizes and certain shapes. I couldn't, they don't have a 3-foot gray balloon for the head of the elephant.
Right.
So what am I going to do? I have to change the color of it. And so, but actually, I didn't think it was going to be, but the balloon community has turned out to be one of the biggest supporters of the book. And they just, because the other thing is that the more that this is out there, the more kids are exposed to balloons, and they go, I want, I love my ABC balloon book. I want to have a balloon twister at my party, or I want to have, I want to have an arch or a column, or I just want balloons at my party. Let's just go with something basic.
Yeah.
Why just kids, though?
Well, there is another industry. There's a whole other niche industry.
I'm saying a little X-rated party stuff going on here.
Yeah.
We could have a lot of fun with you, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Back in the day, I would go on bachelorette trips, and they would put me, no joke, I would actually be hired to be in the limo, and I'd be making them all
dicks,
balloon dicks.
Yeah.
And I was just partying it up. They're like, have a drink. And, so I'm back there having a drink and making balloon dicks for the girls, And then we'd stop, and then they'd go out to the club on Sunset, and then I would, sit there and talk with the limo driver, and then off to the next place. And so there is that world. I don't know if, let's bring I don't know if people want the peacock brought into to the bedroom, but hey,
I would think the adult world is not as lucrative as the children's world, because the kids are, all gun-ho about the balloons, and the adults just want to see it and, suck on it, pop it, and then it's over, right?
There's a world. That's what's funny, is there's a world of adults who are into latex.
Yeah, like
balloons.
furries, but
seen it.
Yeah, but within the latex. Now I will say, Mr. Infamous and I were not involved in that side of the industry.
No.
We're on the balloon decorating side and that world.
But it is funny though, because balloons actually can be sexy in a non-sexual way. They make really crazy dresses. So I'm gonna pull up a picture right now, because you're looking at me like you have no fucking clue what I'm talking about.
This is like a new medium that's just insane.
So these dresses are made by like the artists that I said. There's people that actually do art with it, and this like whole dress is balloons.
Okay,
it's crazy, right?
Yeah, that's nuts.
And that's not even a very good one.
Jester's getting happy again over here.
Yeah, because there's a.
Just kidding with you. God, I'm giving you a hard time.
Well, I saw a bunch of balls on there. And I was
like, well, look at that. How crazy is that?
Well, that is pretty crazy. I mean, it looks like a bunch of sausages at the bottom of it linked together.
So what I'm showing right now is there's a sub community in the balloon industry, and it's actually artists that make dresses. Do they make them on the women, or do they make them squeeze them?
No, I don't know much about it, but from my understanding, they create them on mannequins based off of the sizes of their model, just like any other type of fashion industry,
right?
And then they put them onto their model, and then weave the balloons, and connect it around the model. And so, there's some dresses that they could probably slip out of, but sometimes they're actually, the balloons are attached to each other around the model. So the balloons have to be popped to get the model out of it.
Mm. Oh, that's kind of shitty though.
Yeah.
You got to ruin it afterwards, but.
Well, they don't last for too long anyways.
But at the end of it, there's a naked girl. So
there you go.
Sign me up.
Kind of wins.
It helps when you have a beautiful woman like that, when you're showing her, picture of the dress. It's like,
whoa! They do not all look like that. they mostly look like that. Just calling it the truth.
I got a question for Infamous and Gino. Not so much you, Stephen.
Okay.
You're obviously the manufacturer of everything here. If you could choose one thing to have a balloon made out of your choice, what would it be?
For like a party?
Anything.
Now, is it long? Like, is this a durable balloon? Like, what are we talking here? Like,
You get a balloon design of your choice, right? Specialty balloon design.
I would have a life-size version of the unicorn that Steven made for this book in baby Infamous's room, and I would watch her lose her fucking mind because when I first showed this to her, I videotaped her reaction, and I didn't make it to like right about this page, the owl page, and I sent it to him, and by the time she got to I thought she would freak out most about the unicorn, but she actually freaked out most about the yak. And she opened it and she was like, ugh, gross. Ew, what is that, Daddy? That's disgusting. But she did also freak about, she lost her mind when she saw the unicorn and she's freaking out on the video. And so, could you imagine your daughter, baby Jester, walking into a room with that in it?
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, she'd lose her brain, dude.
Yeah. What about you, Gino?
I have to go kind of the same, I guess, road that you went, but with like a Michael Myers type guy, kind of full size, just putting corners like people's houses and shit.
Yeah,
big
scare the hell out of
me.
you.
Oh yeah, scare. Not even a Halloween fan, just for a scary person. I thought.
Speaking of Halloween, though, one thing I do know about Steven is that he is a Halloween costume maniac. Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break here, but when we come back, I want, if you're cool with it, can you share the story of the Ursula costume?
Yeah, sure.
And then can we show him a picture on the break here real
Absolutely.
quick? All right, cool. So this is the Infamous Chronicles. Buy whatever our sponsor tells you to buy, and we'll be right back.
This is
First, take a big step back.
the Infamous Chronicles.
And literally fuck your own face!
The Infamous Chronicles.
Hey fellas, do you need to get some flowers? Seriously, did you mess up with your lady? Forget something special? She's got something you gotta congratulate her on? You wanna just tell her how much you love her? Guys, seriously, all smart moves. What's not smart is not saving 15% on your flowers. Head over to our sponsor, bouquetinabox.com. They are grown here in California, all natural, delivered very promptly with this private message, and it will hook you up on the good side of your lady again. Use our promo code INFAMOUS, that's infamous, and you save 15% off your first order. It's so easy. Bouquetinabox.com. Use our promo code INFAMOUS, get yourself some brownie points, and save some money. Back to the show.
Now,
What did you say?
back to the Infamous Chronicles.
I said you look shitty.
All right, thank you, and welcome back to the show. You are sitting here with Infamous Jester and Gino, and our special guest tonight, balloon illustrator and author Stephen Mayhew. We're talking about his book, the ABC Balloon Book, and now we're going to move on. So we covered how you got into this, what the plan was here. So let's get into more like the publishing side of it. So for a lot of people that maybe be interested in publishing their stories or collections of pictures or whatever it may be, how difficult did you find the publishing process? Why did you choose to self-publish? And what advice would you give for anyone looking to publish their own work? I know that was a lot of questions.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll just kind of start from the beginning. So I'd say the publishing world is very competitive, and I had no idea what you had to do to publish a book. I knew there was maybe an agent involved because I come from the acting world originally, and so I'm like, okay, there's an agent, and there's somehow the book gets onto the shelf. So I started doing research, and I found that there's a children's convention that actually it's a children's book convention is what it is. And I thought, well, what the hell? I'll go and I'll try to learn something. And my eyes just opened up. I was like, wow. Okay, so there's the self-publishing, and then there's the traditional publishing going through an actual publisher. And I had already started by that point. I'd already started submitting my book to different agents, because that's the first process. You go to the agent, then it goes, and then they submit it to they work on it with you, and then you submit it to a publisher, and then an editor is what you submit it to, and the publishing company, and then they pitch it to their team. And so I submit it to all these agents, and 99% of them got back to me, which was unheard of that I found out. And they said, wow, this is amazing. Good luck with this, but I really can't help you with this. I don't know how to promote it. Or we don't have a team that could really push this. And I just kind of kept hitting that. And at that point, thought about the self-publishing side, and I'm like, I don't even know what this is going to entail. And then I met this guy at the beginning of last year, and he's in the early education world. And he had already self-published, not children's books, but books for schools, and knows that whole world of the schools and how to get them in, and Scholastic and the big names like that. And he said, no. Don't go through a publisher. You need to self-publish this. And so he said, you're going to have so much here that you can actually push and be able to work with and be able to like merchandise and things like that. So I went down the self-publishing route. But I would say for people who are looking to publish a book, I mean, first off, the role of like an agent and the role of the editor is they're there to make you be the best that you possibly can be in your work. And, I know people here have published books. And so there's a process with, hearing that criticism, and that's hard to hear sometimes, Thankfully, Mr. Infamous was very critical on my book, so I kind of felt like you're my own editor, in one way or another.
Well, yeah,
but it's a good thing. I'm not calling you out, but you pushed me, and that's what everybody needs. And so, the main thing is continue to work on your project.
I couldn't wait to put this in my daughter's hand.
Yeah,
I was like, come on, let me just take one home there. And I remember you let me bring the owl picture home.
That's right.
And you were like, don't show anyone. It's top secret. And
you were more excited about this book at some points than I was. I was like, wow.
Is this a large cost out of your own pocket to put this together?
It is. So getting to the self-publishing side, when I actually started researching it, I was like, well, where do you print a book? First off. So I started looking that up. And, unfortunately, printing in the United States is extremely expensive. And so it was going to cost a lot of money for just the cost of the book. So I had to start looking into printing through China.
And then the music cues. Ding, 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 ding.
I should have had it ready.
In post.
In post. I'll add it.
And so, I found a company out here in the United States that kind of acts as a third party because my Chinese is not very good nowadays. I can't speak a lick of it. So, and so they acted as the third party. And so, to answer your question, it is a hefty chunk of money to throw out there because you have to order enough to get the price of the book down to actually make it reasonable. Because nobody wants to buy a $50 children's book.
Right.
So all the imagery is your own labor, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Everything in this book is your labor. But what about a prototype for the first book off the shelf? Like, how much would that cost someone to publish one book as a prototype and then say, okay, now I'm going to go into production?
Well, for instance, my prototype, I went with a company here in the United States because I just needed a copy of a book to kind of make sure it was all put together. So that cost me like $40-50 just for the one book.
You did that through Lulu, right?
No, I did it through another. I don't remember the name of the company. They were so difficult to work with because I was going to get it printed through them and they were going to give me a great deal. And I was like, you don't get back to me, woman. So I'm done with you. So I got a proof printed. But then like when I actually went to the true printer that printed the book, like they didn't give me a final book. They gave me, they said, pick 8 pages. That's going to cost you, $300. And you want a cover. If you want to look at your cover, then that's going to be another like $200. So I was like, oh, okay, well, I need to make sure that the pages look okay. And, that the art looks good. The contrast, is not blown out of proportion in some areas. And the cover, that's kind of an important part of the book.
Okay, so since you're front and back, 26 letters, you're looking at 13 pages plus cover to cover, so 15 total, right?
No, he's got art in there too.
Yeah, I have it talks about the book.
You got
at the
table
beginning.
of contents and the thank you
it's
page.
As big as the Bible, and it's not that large.
So like an extra 4 pages.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's 32. A standard book, because that's the other thing is you have to work within specific page numbers. So it's like you have to work within 4 page groups. But most people don't do the standard size is a 32-page children's book.
Is that why you added these art pages at the end to make it the 32 pages?
That's part of it. Yeah. And the other thing was the reason why I added the collage of the making of the book was because I'd show people the final designs. They go,
because you like pictures of yourself.
Because I like pictures of myself.
Sorry,
he knows
I didn't
me
mean to interrupt you. Sorry,
he knows me so well. No, I'd show people these designs and they'd go, oh, okay. So what am I looking at here? And then once I'd start showing them the making of like the pictures of me actually making the designs, then it clicked. People went, oh wait, so everything's a balloon. Oh, and and then seeing like how big some things were compared to other things, like the giraffe, just the body alone it was taller than I was. The walrus is this tiny little thing that's, small balloons that are filled with clay. So you start to see like, oh wow, it's not just a really big balloon or a really small balloon. It varies, and different things that I did to be able to make that shape or that whatever. But yes, to answer your question, it's not for the faint of heart when it comes to the dollar signs, because that was just the proofs on a few pages. But I kind of laid it out. Again, the guy that I met at the very beginning of last year, he had already gone through this publishing world, and so he's been instrumental and continues to be with kind of the direction that I'm going and what I'm releasing, the educational products that are coming out, and all those things. But yeah, I think price wise, it's pretty hefty.
What are they selling for on the shelves?
The MSRP is the list price. That's the terminology in the book world, is $29.95.
Wow.
Which is average price for a children's book now.
Yeah. I mean, surely.
Because I remember when you were talking to me about it, you went to Barnes and Noble, if I'm correct, and you just perused
multiple
the children.
times.
Yeah. Just to get prices and
they're like that guy's back in the children's department, get security. And I'm like, I'm making my own book.
And you are selling this wholesale to the retailers, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I have a couple places in the United States that actually sell it, and then I'm pushing to get it
in our area specifically. If you want to walk in and see it, they sell it at a store in Glendale called LA Balloons off of Los Feliz, and they have multiple copies there. And then you can find balloon entertainers there and party equipment, but they are the local distributor of this book, correct?
Yeah, there's actually a couple people here in Los Angeles, and you can go on to my website, theballoonworkshop.com, and that'll list out all the different places that you can buy it. So I have retailers that actually picked up the book, and which that just kind of validated everything. I was like, oh wow, a bookstore actually want it. Wow.
Has Amazon picked it up?
They have. Yeah, you can actually purchase it on Amazon.
Where do you find the most of your sales coming from?
Most of my sales have been, honestly, most of the sales have been through my own website. And that coupled with, I've had a huge international following. And so I have distributors and retailers out in Australia, the UK, Japan, and China who sell the book. And they picked it up in very large quantities. And because it's, one, it's art, and they're like, oh wow, this is really cool. But then on top of that, except for the UK, you have, well, I guess in Australia, because they all speak English there, but in China and Japan, let's go with those two. They were like, this is going to be great because we can show it to kids, but we can also show it to adults. They'll be able to learn the English alphabet.
Oh, that's a cool.
And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. Yeah. I never thought about that.
To the locals or to foreigners?
To the foreigners. Well, I mean, like in China, that the China retailer was like, I want this book because everybody's trying to learn English, and the fact that it's colorful and right. I was like, okay, fine. If you want to buy that many, I'll go for it.
You want.
So how many copies would you say total that you've distributed worldwide?
If you're comfortable answering that question.
Yeah. I'm not saying sold,
not.
but just distributed to be sold around the world.
Right.
I'd rather refrain from answering.
Okay, no, that's fair.
A cajillion.
Okay.
That's how many.
There's a lot. I'm on my second run, is what I'll say, and so I have.
And Stephen was gracious enough. He brought all the parents here tonight a book, so we are extremely grateful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So let me ask you this: you've got the balloon book; it's published, the ABCs. I know we've had these conversations privately, but it's really exciting. So what's next for Balloon Workshop and Stephen Mayhew?
Well,
I know you have the coloring book.
Yeah, I do. Yes. So I have. So part of the whole kind of educational side of this is that, and working with this gentleman that's been helping me, he said you need to take this and then you need to build out the different items that go with the book, and for kids to continue learning, because now they're all excited about the book, and so you need to have the next step. So I just launched this past week my coloring book, and so it's
awesome.
It's pretty neat. I mean, for a coloring
really
book.
Cool.
It's pretty intense. It took me 3
coloring
months
and
to make.
Activity.
It's So you have all 26 animals in it that is all line drawing. So now the kids can actually color in their favorite character.
Or adults,
yes. Because there's quite a few people buying it from LA Balloons just to color it in themselves and their adults.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, okay. And then there's over 10 activities in the back. But again, they're for kids. So it's, word finds. I wanted to make that more fun. So it was like word finds and find the letter and find the hidden letters and the picture and things like that. I just released an activity guide. It's a 14-page activity guide that accompanies the book. So that way your kids can read through at night with the ABC Balloon Book, and then you go through and then they can learn to trace out their letters and write them properly, identifying letters, all the main things for kids right before they start preschool, in preschool, and then for some, depending on where you're at, in kindergarten as well. And then I just, because people, funny enough, kept asking, they're like, I really want this for my kid's room, this specific animal. So I thought, well, I guess I'll make posters. So that's the one kind of non-educational product that's out there, but now there's posters.
Sorry. Okay. I was holding it while you got through that sentence. Sorry. Okay, so after the extensions of this book, is there more projects coming that aren't ABC? Is there?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the more that, like you said, this took 4 years to create. And, through that, there was a lot of time for me to sit there and think as I was twisting balloons. And going to these children's conventions, I realized, wow, I could actually kind of turn this into something more than just a hobby, which is what the original concept of it was. So I started writing out, first off, there's classic tales that I think would be awesome to see. Or maybe I'm just a dork and it's me.
Oh, that sounds pretty awesome.
But I think it would be neat to see some of the classic stories told with a fun twist with balloons, and seeing the vibrant art behind it.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, I think so. And then on top of that, I've started writing out my own stories. And so I have that. I've been, we live in Los Angeles. And so I have a lot of friends in the entertainment industry who've approached me and said, there's something we can do here. And so just a couple of the, different projects that I'm working on now.
Let me ask you this. So if you're looking at this book because this book, it's kind of a good example of both balloon decor and graphic design.
Certainly.
So what would you say was the more pressing part of it? Establishing it, building it, and designing it, or actually manufacturing the balloon animals themselves?
I mean, each one there's a whole process behind each animal. So it was, I had to sit down, I had to sketch out the animal. And I didn't, I didn't know all the different aspects of a newt, there's, how many toes are in a newt, or what does, I don't know, I'm looking at the different animals here,
Where are the
what
animals now?
They're in.
One is here.
Yeah. One is here. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only one that survived. All the rest of them were thrown in.
They deflated?
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Did you have any kind of, there's really 3 main balloon manufacturers in the world. Did they sponsor this or support this at all?
Not during I kept this a complete secret.
Okay.
Nobody.
Which you should have, and I commend you for doing that, because this stuff is really intricate, and I don't think you can easily get knocked off here. I think you have something so unique, and I don't see anyone going, I can do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
I don't see that. So but I do respect, you keeping it secretive, because I know a lot of people out there, whenever you have an idea, it sparks their thoughts, and they go, oh, I can do that too. So I really respect that, because I'm a creative person too, and I totally feel you on that.
Yeah. I totally agree. And that's where I was coming from, because I'm in the balloon industry, and so I know people who are amazing artists, and that's also why I was like, I want to be the first to market. I think I have a great idea here, and I just decided I'm not usually good at keeping my mouth shut, and I did pretty good for 4 years.
No, for real. I would do the same thing, man.
That's nuts. So are you going to tour with this book? Are you what's the immediate next step for this specific book?
The immediate, well, I mean, now that it's launched, it was launched last December, and so there's, I'm continuing to promote it in different aspects and get it out there.
Happy 6-month anniversary.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So, I got to a point with it where I can only promote this book, so much right now. And I already know what my next book is. I'm keeping that one a secret. I'm giving a wink over here.
Instead of ABC,
Jester.
will it be XYZ?
XYZ. It's called XXX.
No, there you go.
It won't be. It won't be an alphabet book, though.
It will not be an alphabet book. No.
All right.
And so I'm excited to start on that. And so I was like, okay, I need to get through the coloring book. I need to get through the activity guide and the posters, which, that in and of itself took a long time, months to make. And so now I'm actually starting work on the next book.
You're also very lucky because your person is also super supportive of this, and not a lot of persons would support.
That is very true.
A project like this.
Yeah, I have. I mean, when I'm actually making these balloon designs, they take up the whole house. So I have, the giraffe and being set up, and then I'd have the tree, and I'd have, there were balloons everywhere. The office was just a disaster some days. It just looks like a balloon bomb went off. But I always had the support, from my partner, and so I can't thank him enough.
Didn't you? It's funny because I remember you telling me, don't you have a whole room or closet dedicated to color coordinated organized balloons or something?
Sadly I do. Oh God. I do. Because I have just about every balloon and shape and size. And so I can't just keep them in bags and throw them in the closet. Cause it's not an inexpensive,
no, they add up for sure.
Hobby. Yeah. I mean, it's, it costs a lot of money just to create the animals themselves.
I went and fucking bought 2 balloons from LA Balloons and it cost me $45 for my kid.
That's balloons.
Here's the thing that I respect most is that from an entrepreneurial background like that I have, and I've gone out there and I've tried to be an entrepreneur twice. For you to do something entrepreneurial like this and make it work, especially with balloons, I can't even imagine the conversation I would have to have with my parents when I say, "What are you going to do?" I say, I'm going to twist balloons and make animals. I get punched in the face.
Got a big old smile on his face. Right
I get punched in the face by my dad. He'd be like, what the no. Get out there, get an education. But this is working for you, and that's what I respect most.
But I think like you said, though, I agree. If I mentioned this to anyone, they'd be like, fuck you. But then if I showed you this,
right.
If I said, this is what I'm going to do, you'd be like, holy shit.
Yep.
And the thing that you said, too, about this not being copied, I dare you.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
To any balloon deck artist that is currently working, I dare you to make one of these, even remotely as good as this,
and infloods the copycats.
Infloods the copycats.
Just a quick mention about as from the parent standpoint when I told my parents I was doing balloons back in the early 2000s. I was acting and I told my parents, okay, so I'm gonna start doing balloon animals. And I remember later on, my mom told me that my dad was like, well, I mean, I guess, if it makes some money, I'm sure he won't be in this, for too long. And if
he wants to make balloon dicks for money.
Yeah, if he wants, well, I wasn't telling him that's what I was doing, but I mean, and he goes, but, if he needs any help, then we'll help him out, money wise, cause he thought okay, it's probably just another one of his fantasy things that he wants to get into. And then lo and behold, 15 years later, here I am,
But you've also tried other entrepreneurial things that didn't hit.
I did, yeah.
In the past.
Yeah, I mean, I ran my own balloon decorating company for a while, and so I have that entrepreneurial side as well. And then I actually just a couple of years ago, while I was making this book, I don't know why, but I decided I wanted to launch a women's boutique, an online women's boutique, and I created this on the website.
I pointed at him because he's currently considering doing this as well. So it's pay attention.
Well, hold on, doing what?
Women's clothing and a clothing line.
Not women. I mean, clothing line, but
not for women.
Yeah.
But he is the one that I told you when I was like, I know a friend that tried that and it didn't work out. He's the one.
Well, I can give you what works, what doesn't work, where to get certain things.
Tips.
Yeah, we can talk afterwards.
So what's your message with people that take risks like that creatively and entrepreneurially and then fail? I mean, how did you not get knocked down? How did you? And while you're working on this, you started another project.
I
did. How did you stay and not get discouraged?
Well, first off, I would tell people, when you get knocked off your horse, sit down, have a drink, and watch a show. And just get over yourself. It's not the end of the world. I mean, even if you sunk your life savings into something, I mean, hopefully you're doing a little bit more research before you do that. But it's not the end of the world. Mm-hmm. And there's something else that's out there for you. Keep searching, keep going, keep looking for that. Because ultimately you have to be passionate about what it is that you do. And I started the women's clothing line because I thought, I have my sister's mother-in-law is in that and she does very well. And I thought, well, hell, I could do that, so, and I'm really good with making websites. And so I actually sold stuff. Funny enough, I had, I don't know, I didn't know much about women's clothing. But I did learn a lot about, different cuts and all this other stuff. But, and so then I got to a point I was like, I don't like this. It's drudgery when I got an order and I was like, oh my God, I got to go pull this blouse from my closet, my poor parents when they came over for Thanksgiving. Okay, so what is all this women's clothing sitting in your closet?
And balloons.
Yeah, and balloons, exactly. It's like, oh my
what
God.
the fuck is going on here?
That's when my dad looks over to my mom and goes, Barbara, see, I told you. Balloons, this is what happens. No.
We are not supporting any more of his crazy
Exactly,
ideas.
pull out. So while I was doing the women's clothing line, I wasn't liking it. And then that's when I got back into, I was like, I need to refocus my energy back to this book because this is actually what I want to do with my life.
So let me ask you this for, as we wrap up our episode tonight, so I know you did another production of ours, the Maternal Instincts.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure you plugged it there and it's for amazing moms. But so we have a much more colorful listenership than they do.
I love it.
So this would appeal to parents, obviously, teachers, counselors. What other kind of outside the box type of demographic would you find? Do you hope to target, or would you be surprised if they were interested in it?
Well, I would say who I think is really targeted for is honestly, if you know any child who's between the ages of 2 and 6, honestly, even though I've seen like 9 and 10-year-olds just absolutely fall in love with it, but if you have a friend, if you're a grandparent, if you have nieces or nephews, this actually makes, and it's not just because I made the thing, I would say it anyways if I was on your guys' side over there. It's a unique gift. And nowadays you're always looking for, like, you want to be the person who stands out at the birthday party or, at the baby shower or something like that. And where everyone's like, oh, wow, that's so cool. I wish I would have thought of that. I've actually gotten people writing back to me telling me, I'm so glad I bought your book. Everybody loved it. It was the total hit of the party, of the baby shower or, the birthday party. Sure. And so it's really for anybody who knows a child between those ages, in all honesty.
I think it's also good for the oldies at the nursing home too. I mean,
That's actually a really good idea.
To relearn their ABCs.
Visually. I think you're talking more visually. Or relearn their. It could be new every time they look at it.
Oh my God.
Holy shit. He's got alligator in this.
He's got Alzheimer's, Gary. This is gay.
You're like, don't worry, Gary. You're going to be just as excited tomorrow when you read it. So, Stephen, thank you. I mean, first of all, as a friend, I'm stoked that you finally got to come on. We talked about this day 4 years ago, and here we are.
Yeah.
So I'm proud of you. I'm proud of this book.
Thank you.
Thank you for saying that I helped in any way that
you totally did. You totally did. And thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. You guys are awesome.
So for our listeners, what I would like to do, we are going to pick up a couple copies of the book, and we are going to be giving copies away. So I'm going to swing by and have you sign a couple of them.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so let's do this. The first people to tag this, to go on our Instagram or Twitter and hashtag ABC Balloon Book, we will choose, we'll give you 2 weeks to do it, and then we will choose a winner and send the first 3 people a signed copy of Stephen Mayhew's The ABC Balloon Book. And that will be a gift from the show and Stephen himself.
Absolutely.
And so for the listeners that want to purchase the book right now and they don't want to enter any contest, where can they find the book, or where can they see pictures or follow you on social media?
Sure. You can actually go to my website, which is theballoonworkshop.com, and you can order the book from there. But I'll tell you this, if you're like, well, what does everything look like? Look at the posters, because all of the animals are listed there. So you can actually see what everything looks like, because that wasn't available up until now. But then you can also go to Amazon.com. Amazon, why do I have to say .com? But Amazon, they have, you can, if you're a Prime member, you get it in 2 days. So there you go. And then you can follow me on Facebook, and all the social media links are all on my website. It's the Balloon Workshop. Each one of them spelled kind of differently. So just hit up the website and you can follow me, and I post updates and what's going on, new activities. I give out free activities for kids online. So you can download them for free and different things like that. So yeah, definitely check it out.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
We are taking a break next week. No, we're not, because you're going to hear this next week. So we're on break. I hope you're enjoying your Memorial Day weekend right now as you're listening to this. Next week we have actress Natalie Sky from Sons of Anarchy joining us in studio. She will be joining us and hopefully our brother show, The Taco Truck of Destiny. You guys, if you haven't checked out our other shows, infamousworks.com. We have 6 productions going, stuff for moms, for nerds, for guys, for gals. We got a little bit of everything for everyone. And we're really excited as we expand the whole podcast brand. You know, this is exciting for us as it is for you to listen to it. We want your feedback. Please head over to iTunes, follow and subscribe to all the shows. Leave us some constructive, negative, positive. It doesn't really matter. Feedback. We look forward to hearing from you. Follow us on our social media, Real TIC Podcast. That's going to do it for us today.
That'll be a peace out.
That'll be a peace out.
If I was you, I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too. If I was you, I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too. I'd wanna be me too.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Infamous Chronicles. Our show is produced by Jeremy Elder, talent acquisition is done by Casey Moran, and operations directed by Paul Sinacori. This show is copywritten Infamous Works, LLC, 2016. All rights are reserved. All of our guests appear signed via waivers. We don't own the rights to any of the music featured on our show. We are just fans of it. Visit us at infamousworks.com or call our offices at 844-4-INFAMOUS.